Hi there, I'm Eggfur, and today I'm going to show you my brand new item sorter, and it's got some really cool features. So you might be thinking, why do we need a new item sorter? There's already some really good ones out there. Well, this one is even better. Go on, I'll say it's even better, and I will tell you why. This is the Impulse SV design. It's the old warhorse of item sorters. It's a really brilliant design. It works really, really well. However, it has a few disadvantages. So it does tile. So here's the example of it tiled, and that works perfectly fine. But you do need to set up your filters like this. So the item you're trying to filter goes in the left-hand slot. You need 41 of them. And you will always end up with one item stuck in the hoppers down here as well. So you basically end up with 42 items stuck in your filters. If you've got your filter set up like this, shame on you, it'll break. And I've got a video which explains why, which I'll link down in the comments. Also, if you're using this design and you're tiling it, shame on you, it'll break. Even if you've got it set up like this. And again, that's explained in my video down in the comments. I'm not going to go into it here. You might also have this one, which I think is Silent Whisperer's design for Bedrock, and that's pretty cool. Does exactly the same thing basically, and you still need to have your filters set up. If you've got it set up like this, shame on you. You need to have 41 items in the first slot. Okay. But the one I'm going to show you today is this one, and you can get away with having one item in the left-hand slot, and you only need 18, 19, 20, 21 filler items, and that will work perfectly fine. It'll never break, and nothing will ever get stuck in the hoppers either. So no items will get stuck in here. Everything ends up in your chests. It's pretty cool. Let's go and have a look at it.
Okay, so let's dive straight in.
I'm just going to build it here, and we're going to start off by laying down some chests, which we'll use as our storage. And I'm going to make 4 slices, so I want 4 sets of chests. And I'm going to make it 3 high, so plenty of storage for each slice, like so. And finally, I just want some glass blocks on top of each chest. And they are allowing me to point some hoppers into those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm shift clicking, so those hoppers point into the glass. They mustn't point downwards. And then I can place hoppers into the backs of all my chests, like that. So because this system is A/B tileable, every other tile is the same. So I'm going to start off by doing this one on the left and this one on the right middle. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place a block here, block there, and these are going to have comparators on them, like so. From the comparators, you want to come out 1, 2 blocks, 1, 2, put a torch on the end, and redstone dust on top of that, like that. Then we're going to come down 1, 2 underneath the torch, and come along there as well underneath this torch, break that temporary block, and place redstone dust on there. So now we need to bring that redstone signal back along to power this hopper and lock it. So we're going to put a block here, a block there, and then we're going to come up from the ground like this and pop a repeater on each of those. Let me pop to the side so you can see all of that. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So now we need to do the alternating slices, and I use some funky Bedrock mechanics, but we have the power, so let's do it. So I'm going to put a piston here. I need to pop myself into the ground a little bit and put a piston facing downwards against there with a block of obsidian underneath it like this. I'm going to do the same over here. I want a piston against a comparator at the top, if I can just get there, and against this hopper here. Obsidian underneath that so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm going to put a torch on top of this bottom piston. And the torch won't power the top piston because it's pointing at the face of a piston, and you can't power through the face. So now I need to have a glass block against the torch. Could be a top slab if you prefer. And then I'm going to fill this hole as well that I made. We'll just fill in that hole and that hole. And I want a solid block underneath there with redstone dust on it. A solid block underneath this one with redstone dust on it. And then pointing to the side of that redstone dust, one more solid block on each of those with dust on top of that. And what the glass is doing is it's allowing the redstone signal to travel through that corner and power this piston, which will turn off this torch, which will unpower this top one. But we're using a piston here rather than a solid block because I don't want the redstone line to power this dropper here. Hopper, sorry, this hopper here. So that's why I've got a piston at the bottom. And now we put a comparator here, and this is kind of the Bedrock funky thing. Apart from the fact that torches on pistons get turned off when they're powered, I can also check what's in a container through a piston into a comparator, which you can't do on Java. There we go. So this block now will be powered when the comparator is on, which will power the redstone underneath. And when that signal strength gets to 2, it'll power this piston and turn this torch off and allow us to send items through. So that's it. That's the build completely done. You can see it's pretty compact. It's only 4 long. It's the same as our old favourite, the Impulse SV over here. It's a little bit taller because it's got this extra line of dust on top. But by the time you've actually put a water stream up here or a line of hoppers, whatever it is you want to do to get your items to come across your filters, then I don't think that really matters. So I just want to take a time out to show you the items required to build my new sorter compared to the Impulse SV one. You can see the 2 rows at the top are for 2 slices of the Impulse SV sorter, and obviously they're both the same. My new sorter is 1 slice exactly the same as the Impulse SV, but the second slice has more items. It's got 2 pistons, an obsidian and a glass block instead of this repeater, and it's got 1 redstone dust less as well. But actually, if you think about it, you're saving 41 items in every slice you build, because we don't need to put in all those filter items into this sorter. You only need 1 of your precious items you want to collect in each slice, and therefore that little bit of more expense to build it is going to be saved time and time again every time you use it. So speaking of the filters, how do we set them up? Well, the advantage is that because it's A/B tileable and the tiles do not interfere with each other at all, we can be a little bit looser about how we set these filters up. So I need to put in 23 items, 18, no, how many? 18, 19, 20, 21 items. And that's going to be 1 each of those, and then 18 in this second slot here. And then whatever it is I want to filter goes in the first slot, and you see that will drop down until it gets to 1. And those items that dropped out all ended up in this bottom chest here. And this is the other advantage of this system, is there are no items stuck in any of these hoppers, which you normally get in the Impulse SV design over there. So yeah, all your items come down, and you only need 1 of the item you're trying to filter in the left-hand slot of the hopper, and then 18, 1, 1, 1, using renamed items preferably, because that means that you're never going to accidentally put those items into your sorting system, which would end up draining out these filter items. Okay, so I'm going to go along and I'm going to do the same for the next set of 3 filters, and we'll get them set up, and I'll come back and show you that when it's done. Okay, so I set up all the filters. They all look the same. They've just got different colors of concrete in the left-hand slot, like that. And that's yellow concrete 18, 111, of course. And what you typically do with this thing is you'd have a line of hoppers going along the top. Let me grab a chest. A line of hoppers going along the top. This chest here is for overflow, so any items that you don't have filters set up for will fall into that overflow chest. I've built 4 slices, but you can have as many as you want, of course. And we'd come along like this with another input chest on this side. So this is where I'm going to put things I want to sort. And I can put those in however I want. So I'm just going to do some weird funky stuff. There we go. Doesn't really matter what order they come in or how many there are. And we'll let those all filter through. And what we should see is that they start coming down into these chests down here. And this can sort up to 9,000 items an hour, which is standard hopper speed. And because this is Bedrock, you do sometimes get the odd one which will bypass its filter and end up in the overflow chest. If I had put something which I'm not sorting at all, so let's take some, I don't know, some grass, they will never end up in your sorting chests. They'll always end up in the overflow. Okay, but you do sometimes get some that miss. If you want to hear more about those and how to avoid it, then I've got a video on that. I'll link that down in the description below. Okay, but that's just something that you have to accept on Bedrock to some extent, or slow down the speed at which you're putting things in. We've covered how we set up the filters if we've got items that are stackable to 64, like concrete. But what about if I've got an item, for example, a snowball, which is only stackable to 16? Well, if I just put a snowball in here on its own, you'll see it just disappears. That's no good to me. What I need to do is I need to take some of these items out. If I drop that down to 12, then I can add 1 snowball. If I add a second snowball, it'll disappear. So if you want to sort items stackable 16, you need 12, 1, 1, 1 in the last 4 slots. Okay. And then all my snowballs fall down here. You'll see they're mixed now with the blue concrete I was doing earlier. You won't do that, of course. But yeah, so that's how you can do it. And there's quite a few items stacked 16, not that many, but you know, there's buckets and snowballs and ender pearls and so on. So it's useful to know how to set that up too. You could also use water streams with this. Nothing stops you doing that. So if you've got a water stream based system for feeding items across these second row of hoppers here, then that's absolutely fine as well. There you have it. That's my stackable item filter sorter system, and it is pretty compact. And the great thing about it is you will only ever need one of the items that you're trying to filter stuck in the filter system itself. Everything else ends up in your chests and can be collected by you. It runs at hopper speed. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cheap. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you'd like to see other videos like this one, then take time to have a look through the channel, subscribe, and maybe even ping that bell so that you don't miss anything from me in future. Great to see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.